use it external just like I did the disc reader for the same reason. I won't always need it, but I have it if I do. You know, just being prepared. It's like a Boy Scout thing, but I was never a Boy Scout. So, oh, fun fact. Thermal paste, nothing fancy. It's just Arctic Silver, you know, like the only thermal paste anyone ever talks about. I bought that because my silly self didn't realize that the CPU cooler would come with thermal paste. Yeah. So I got that too. It works though. It's like whatever. What else we got? So, we're gonna do this one next. I went with, for my SLI bridge, well, it's not really showing up very well. I went with an EVGA one. Again, theme, like aesthetics, that was a big problem. I originally was going to go with just the NVIDIA SLI bridge, their high bandwidth one, but those are not compatible with the water blocks that I want to use, or the back plates to the water blocks, in fact, weirdly enough. So I couldn't go with that, even though it's the coolest looking of the bridges. I ended up going with EVGA because EVGA products, they're really good products. And this one's, again, RGB, because I thought about going with like one from Asus, but theirs wasn't RGB. Yeah, there was no color control, so it was black and red, and it wasn't also a high bandwidth one. This is actually one of the high bandwidth ones for the new Pascal series of GPUs that NVIDIA launched. So it won't bottleneck or anything. Not that I think that the Air ones really would, but anyways, high bandwidth, yay. RGB, extra yay. Definitely a plus to me. Windows 10, USB, Pro, yay. Pretty boring. Whatever. No, I'm not going to mess with Linux. I like playing video games, and unfortunately, Linux doesn't have that much support. Fact of life. I will probably dual boot at some point, but not right now. This will be cool. This is going to be the front to my new computer, my actual case. This replaced the original front that it comes with is like solid, so you can put in bays of different components and stuff. I'm taking that out and putting this one in so I can have fans. It's kind of an aesthetics thing more than an actual cooling necessity, but I think it'll look really nice. So we're starting to get into like the really cool stuff now. So here we go. Let's see. I went with Samsung N.2. This is a, what is this, a 256 gigabyte. That's going to be my boot drive. That's what I'm going to run my OS on and any core programs that are needed, you know, like maybe Office or Adobe or just whatever. That's all going to be run off of that. Excuse me, guys. And then I have two of these Samsung, these are the 850 Pros, 1 terabytes. One of these is going to be for games, just like gaming related stuff. You know, I'll run Steam off of there, I'll have all the downloads of the actual games on there, my saves, all that, so that I have really fast access to it. The other one is going to be for YouTube. That's going to be for my capturing of videos, for doing my actual video rendering, all that. Using an SSD. Hey, look at that! It finished. That's cool. Using an SSD, it does significantly speed up your performance. So if you notice your computer kind of running slow, try putting an SSD in it first before you do anything else, because that's almost guaranteed to give you more like speed, raw performance, especially if you put the OS on there. There we go. We'll go with the keyboard next, I think. So again, I needed RGB. Which you can't get away with when it comes to gaming keyboards. Pretty much all of them have RGB. I'm a big fan of the cherry switches. I wanted a mechanical keyboard. The only problem is that most of them, especially the good quality ones, they look all the same. Like, I was looking at some Corsairs, and they're great keyboards from my understanding, but they all look like keyboards. There's nothing really interesting about them. The original keyboard I was going to go with was from Cooler Master. It was their CM Storm Mech, I think is what they called it, and it was that like weird shaped one. It was like a parallelogram or something, whatever geometry, I don't know. But it was it had the anodized aluminum on it, and it was really cool looking. Only had white LEDs, which was cool at the time. I was going to do just a white build. But they stopped making them, and they're like $400 now, so screw that. What I went with instead is G-Skill. This is the KM780 from G-Skill. I went with it because it had all the features I wanted. The RGB, it has the Cherry MX Browns, which those I really like those particular keyboards. They're not too obnoxious, the switch isn't, but it still feels nice to type on. But the other reason I went with this, you can kind of tell in the picture here, it's got like little bars going on at the top and sides. It's like character. It looked a little bit unique, and I dig that. Like I said, I wanted it to be somewhat unique looking, even if it is a mass-produced item. So, let's see. We're in all the really cool stuff. Like the really cool stuff now. I don't want to pick it up because it's buried. But here's my power supply right here. This is an EVGA 1600 watt. It's a 1600 T2. It's a 1600 watt power supply, and it's titanium rated on the 80 plus titanium. So that's the most efficient form that you can get. I had to do a lot of research on that because you definitely don't want to get an underpowered power supply. Now, that sounds weird. You don't want to get one that's underpowered because then you're gonna have instability issues, and it can fry your components. Honestly, your power supply is the one thing that is guaranteed. If it dies, it can take everything with it. So you want to be smart when you pick those. I went with EVGA for a couple reasons on that. One was it took me a long time to figure out how much power I actually needed for my computer. That's one thing that's really hard to find out, even though there are a lot of really good calculators out there. For my computer, with my components, everything was saying I needed like right at 1,000 or right at 1,100. Well, I wanted to get the most efficiency I could, which is titanium right now. There's not very many power supplies that are titanium on the market at the moment, and there's none in that power range. So I did some more digging, and I found out that supposedly if you want your power supply to be at its peak in terms of efficiency, you want to have it to where your computer will keep it at about 50 to 60% load in terms of its max watt output, which my 1,000, 1,100 just so happens to fall like right in that area. So the 1600 should be the most efficient way to go. The cool thing also is this way I will never need to worry about power for my computer. Components are getting more and more efficient, so if anything, one day I might have to downgrade. You know, who knows? So let's see, we got 4 things left, and I don't know which one I want to talk about first because they are all really cool. How about, you want to do motherboard? How's motherboard? We'll do motherboard. That's this guy, right here. Ugh, heavy. Not really. Anyone know what it is? It kind of says it right there on the box, but no, this is it's the ROG, Republic of Gamers. This is the Rampage 5 10th Anniversary Edition. Oh my god, it is so good looking. I went with this because aesthetics sell me on a lot. And this motherboard is beautiful. But on top of that, it gave me all the features I wanted. It gave me overclocking, plenty of expansion room. It gave me the support for the memory I wanted. There's no damn red on it. That's like impossible to find. Again, on gaming crap, everything has to have red. And it's stupid. It's stupid. If any company out there ever watches this video, please stop putting red on everything that has the word gaming attached to it. Stop putting colors on it. How about that? Pick only neutral colors. That way it goes with everything. And that's what this one is. I'm going to try and hold it up, let you guys kind of see it a little bit. There you go. Blacks and grays. RGB lighting on all of it. You know what's funny is, speaking of the RGB lighting, this, like originally I wasn't going to have very much RGB on my computer. And I was going to take this board and water cool it. EK Water Blocks makes a block for this this board. And if you water cool it, let me see if you guys can see, this part right here and this one right up there gets removed. And those two places, a water block takes its place, right? The thing is the bottom one, that heatsink has RGB built into it. And when I tested my rig, when I put everything together just to make sure all the components worked and nothing was DOA, it was so damn good looking. It was so damn good looking. I'm not going to water cool the motherboard now. The only way I'll water cool this motherboard is if it actually needs it, which I don't think it will. I am going to be overclocking my CPU and my GPUs and my RAM as well, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I'm not going to be pushing the overclocks hard enough to where I'll actually need water cooling on the motherboard, I don't believe. If I absolutely have to, I will water cool it, but right now it looks too good. It looks too damn good how it is, so I'm not going to do it. I'm just not gonna. Which is actually the exact same thing that is happening with the RAM, which is this guy right here. I went with G-Skill again. I thought about going with Corsair with their Dominator, but the problem is the Dominator, I was originally going to water cool the RAM as well, right? The Dominator, I could get the exact same thing as this G-Skill, but the Dominator was like $100 or $200 more because the Dominator has LEDs built onto it. That was the only real difference I could see in them. Well, you know, I'm water cooling it. Why do I need these LEDs? They're just going to be taken off anyways. So I said, screw that, and I went with the G-Skill. G-Skill makes great memory. This is the Trident Z. I went with, it's a white and silver, the heatsink is, and it's, oh my god, it's going to look so good. Wait until you see these things. But it's 128 gigs of RAM. This is a kit I got, so it's all from the same pool. So in theory, it should all be uniform in terms of performance. And the frequency is, it's DDR4 quad channel 3200 is what this is. But wait till you guys see this. Check, just here, trust me. Wait till you see this stuff. It is so good looking. Like, I usually hate it when people describe inanimate objects as sexy, but this is so sexy. So check this out. Look at that. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? So in the computer, you kind of can't. You're going to basically see that. It's just going to be that little hint of white and the silver or gray, whatever. I think that's going to look freaking awesome with the rest of the build. Yes, I know 128 gigs is complete overkill. For your own reference, most people will never need more than 16 gigs unless you do a lot of productivity, and even then you probably won't need over 32, and you definitely won't need more than 64 for most applications, especially if you're just building a gaming computer. If you're just doing a gaming computer, forget it. You don't need anything like this, okay? But again, overkill. Best of the best. It's kind of my thing. You can kind of see the case. This is the loaner case that I told you about my friends let me borrow. It's a fractal design. I think it's an S4 is what it is. He didn't need it anymore, and he's let me borrow it. Really nice case. It's not what I want for my build, which is why I didn't buy it, obviously, but it's going to let me build my computer until my case arrives, so that's awesome. So, what next? The next two, there's only, what? There's only two more things really on here to show. Both of them are going to be like, they're hot items right now. I don't know which one. I guess we'll go with the CPU first, because most people will obsess over GPUs, not CPUs. So here's that. If you can guess, I went Intel. Sorry, AMD. Extreme Edition i7. Can you guess which one it is? Just from that. Here, let me show you. What is this? You know which one it is? You know which one it is yet? You know which one it is? Huh? Sorry, I had to. This is the 6950X. Yeah, I bought that one. I'm sorry, I had to. It's basically like